when we're focusing on and working with clients that are struggling with coping, we're going to do a lot of communication. We're going to work with patients who have issues with coping. Coping in general, it just describes how an individual like you and I deal with problems and issues. It could be issues like illness, right? Stressful events, all kinds of things. So that's going to be important to be able to, work with patients on how they cope. Factors that can influence individuals' ability to cope can include a host of things. So it could include the number of stressors. If you got a stressor, you got a home stressor, a work stressor, you got issues with the children, you got financial issues, emotional issues, you got a whole bunch of issues going on. That can play a part. So the number, the volume, the duration, how long they've been going on, right? How long? This could be hours, weeks, days, months, years, right? And also the intensity of those stressors, right? How intense are they? Past experiences can also influence a patient's ability to cope as well. Past experiences can influence both positive and negative, right? And past experiences are really good for us to just determine a baseline, right? How did you get through the last illness? How did you cope? What were some of the things that helped you then, right? And so this is where we can draw on the past. What has helped? Yoga, meditation, maybe they music therapy, maybe they, did prayer or they joined a support group or community group, or they got involved they took up a hobby and learned some things new, right? COVID, how did you cope with that illness? How did you get through? What did you do? Again, being able to go back to the past experiences can help us, because it also can show us that in the past, maybe they resorted to alcohol and begin to abuse it, right? Or drugs, or gambling, or illicit behavior, irrational behavior, gambling, smoking, right? So this unlocks and gives us some more insight about your patient's abilities and past experiences with coping. We also understand that if a person has a pretty solid support system, okay, that can be family, a spouse, children, could be community support, could be pastoral, church, spiritual support. People who tend to have nice or solid support systems also do better in terms of coping and getting through like adversity, right? So it's good for us to assess that. Who are you going home to? What kind of support system do you have, right? Because that's going to help with those stressful events. And then what resources do you have? Shelter, food, do you have community resources? Do you have respite care, adult care? If respite care will help take over and kind of give a caregiver some reprieve, or gives them some what's the word I'm looking for? Gives them a break a bit, especially if they're taking care of a loved one, let's say in their home, and it's around the clock care. Respite care is a resource that can be very helpful to provide support as a resource, right? So again, these are going to be things where we as nurses assess, we ask questions, and we can be the liaison between bringing those resources to them. This is why we have to have our social worker on speed dial, so that we know who to reach out to for that support, right? Or those that information, so that we can give it to the family. All right, coping stress strategies are unique to everybody. So as an individual, what may work for me may not work for you. But once again, it can vary greatly with each stressor.